The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Stephanie Douglas, and in this week's Insights we are talking about the food insecurity that is a growing epidemic in Alpena. I have with me Joe Gentry, who's joining us from the United Way to talk a little bit more about the situations and solutions on how we can fix that. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Stephanie.
How are you?
Good.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about why Alpena is currently in this situation.
We're in this situation because of the demographic changes that are going on in society. About 5 years ago, the United Ways of Michigan put out what's called the ALICE report, and ALICE stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed, which means quite often we think of people at the poverty level, below the federal poverty level, as those being the only ones in need. But this report shines a light on people who don't have enough household income to meet all the needs that are needed to maintain a household, including food expenses, housing expenses, healthcare expenses, technology expenses, and transportation. And the biggest need in our area is really food insecurity. And food insecurity being defined as people that don't have enough income and don't have access to healthy food to sustain a healthy life.
So are you saying that because people are stretched so thin that they would rather pay their bills and just go without eating? That's
correct. An interesting statistic that came out of the ALICE report is that 43% of college students have food insecurities. They're working part-time jobs, they have a big burden of student debt, and they go without proper nutrition. And when we say food insecurity, it doesn't mean they have access to no food. It means they don't have access to healthy food. So they're eating packaged food, processed food that leads to obesity, that leads to ongoing health problems. So the challenge is, how do we improve healthy eating and healthy food availability and eliminate food insecurities?
Right, because that's what they talk about with the Freshman 15, you know what I mean? Because you're not having a proper diet, and when you don't have a proper diet, it also affects sleeping as well. So let's talk about some of the solutions. What are some steps that we can get into to getting on a right path to eating healthier?
One of the things that is occurring there's a group called Feed the Need. It started with Andy Lappin from Lappin Agency, and Feed the Need realized that there's availability through the Food Bank of Northeast Michigan, which is a organization out of Flint serving all Northeast Michigan. For $1,000, you can bring in a semi-load of food through the food bank to your community and distribute it to families in need. So Feed the Need so far has 13 sponsors that are bringing in a semi-load a month to Alpena, the next one being this Saturday at East Campus, where there will be 25 pallets of food, 9,000 pounds of food that are available to anybody who shows up and asks. There is no need to prove a financial need. There's no need to just all you have to do is sign and how many are in your household. It will generate enough food for a family to feed itself for a week, and we hope to serve 400 families. So those are the kind of initiatives and programs that are taking place in our community to help meet the needs.
I love hearing about ways how, you know, if there's a problem, there's a solution, and how the community is coming together to fix that. So explain a little bit about how the United Way is involved with this as well.
The United Way has an annual campaign where we have what we call supporting community agencies that have programs and processes to meet all the needs, just not the food and hunger needs, but healthcare needs, to meet child development needs. And so we have a citizen review panel that meets at the first part of the year, and they hear from our supporting agencies that have programs that they would like us to support. And those citizen review panels then make recommendations to our board of directors, who are all volunteers, and then they make allocations based on the amount of money that we're able to raise through our annual campaign. This year's campaign goal, which we're in the middle of right now, is $200,000. And there are many viable programs out there. We just went through a mini grant process where we grant $1,000 in mini grants to programs that are meeting emergency needs right now. So when we are seeking grant proposals, we publicize that, and agencies that have program needs make their plea to us, and the citizen review panels or our board make those decisions on how we grant those fund requests to make sure those programs are available in our community.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of those programs or resources that people can access? We
have one of the programs that I think about our recent mini grant programs, which have just been awarded. We do funding for Girls on the Run, which is through the district health department, which is a 5-county program that affects over 200 young girls to improve their health and their self-assurance. And it's a wonderful program, so we were able to give a mini grant for that. There's food pantry requests, whether it's food pantries through the Salvation Army, food pantries through local churches that have programs like the Sunday Supper through Trinity Episcopal, the Friendship Rooms annual dinner, Shelter Incorporated that provides homeless shelter. So those are the kinds of programs that we are supporting through the generous donations of our donors in the community.
Okay, awesome. And before we wrap up, Joe, I just want to know, tell us how people who are listening and hearing about this, tell them how they can get involved if they would like to get involved.
We're always in need of volunteers. They can contact the local United Way. We're located right now at 701 Woodward at the Aplex upstairs. They can call us at our phone number at 989-354-2221. And we're always looking for volunteers. If it's people that have needs, we also sponsor through the United Way the availability of 211, and people can call 211, and it is a resource of all the agencies that offer services to meet the needs of a community. So I would encourage people that have personal needs to call 211, and that will give them all the resources they need.
Okay. It was so awesome having you on, Joe, and talking about this. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Stephanie.
All right, awesome. We're going to take a quick break, and coming back, we'll have more insights. Welcome back to this week's Insights. I'm Stephanie Douglas, and as we continue the topic to talk about food hunger and insecurities in Alpena, this morning I have with me Melissa Burns, who is an outreach coordinator for the Eastern Michigan Food Bank. Good morning, Melissa. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what the food bank is.
So the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan is located in Flint. We have a huge warehouse, and what we do is we go out and we find food and we bring it to agencies such as local food pantries, soup kitchens, senior centers, and shelters. We procure this food. We find it at retailers, so they donate food to us that otherwise they may have thrown out. Retailers like Meijer, Walmart, Kroger,
Oh,
Target.
so like big retailers donate these foods.
Right, and also some smaller grocery stores donate too. And we usually try to pair them with the local agency so they can go pick up at these grocery stores themselves and stock the shelves in their pantries.
Melissa, tell me a little bit about how much food you guys deliver.
So the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan delivers more than 28 million pounds of food every year, and that includes meat, dairy, and fresh produce.
How big is this company? Like, how far do you guys go and expand to?
Yeah, so we cover 22 counties in Eastern Michigan. So we have a large area that we serve, and we have a huge fleet of trucks that delivers food to each county every single week.
I'm so glad that it's here in Alpena so we can serve and help our community with this issue.
Thank you.
So you guys recently did one in the past. Tell me a little bit how that turnout was.
So a group of young professionals in Alpena County started a small committee called Feed the Need. Our idea in the beginning was to bring one semi-truck of food up to Alpena County. And then we kind of put our heads together and thought, wait, I think we can do a little bit more. So with the overwhelming support from our community, we were able to secure 14 trucks. So we will have one monthly distribution throughout the next year and going into 2021.
That is awesome, Melissa. Tell us a little bit about how people can get involved in this, because I know with this huge thing that we're bringing to Alpena, you're gonna probably need help, right?
We do. It takes a lot of manpower to pull off a whole semi-load of food. So there are 24 pallets of food on each semi-truck that is coming to Alpena every month. And we need a lot of volunteers to help distribute this food. If anybody in our community wants to help with this project, they can go to our Facebook page. It's called Feed the Need Alpena, and they will find a link on there that they can click and sign up for a shift. Either they can distribute food or help us clean up or help us set up the distribution. It's a lot of food. There's over 20,000 pounds of food on this truck that we move in 2 hours. So we need help from the community to make this happen.
Okay, awesome. So tell me, why did this whole thing start?
So the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan has been bringing food to this area for years. And our local pantries do so much already to help feed folks in need in Alpena County. And right now, about 13% of the people in our community are food insecure, which means they don't have access to enough food or access to enough healthy foods. So they've been doing this work for years. We just thought we would bring in these monthly trucks just to help supplement that a little bit. People leave with a huge box of food that will help feed their families for a week or 2 weeks. And it also helps them stretch their dollar a little bit. If they're not spending their money on extra food, they can use that money toward other basic needs.
Are there any strings attached, or do people need to register to come to these events? Because I feel like people are reluctant to do that because they're scared, because they don't know how can I attend or something like that.
That's a great question. So we want our guests to feel as comfortable as possible. We really don't ask any proof of income. All we ask is that they tell us how many people are in their household. We collect those numbers so that we can write grants to continue food outreach in this community. We don't want them to be afraid to come to our pop-up pantry. We want them to come and receive this food, and everybody is welcome. There are folks who live below the poverty line that need food, and folks that maybe are living above the poverty line, but they still need help too. A lot of working families are struggling to get by, and we just want to give them a hand.
When you're out there at these type of events, what is the feeling that you see on these people's faces?
So I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and hugged me, people I don't know, and tell me how much they needed this little bit of food to help them get by. It's very touching, and it's because of the overwhelming support of our community that we have even been able to pull this off. So when somebody comes up to me and tells me, my spouse is sick and I am working part-time and taking care of my spouse, and we're struggling to pay our bills, and they hug me, it's the reward. It makes all that hard work worth it. And people in our community need to step up and volunteer and help with this cause because this is a real issue in our community.
So with this organization, how many have you guys been able to feed so far?
So our Feed the Need Committee, about a month or two ago, we put out a call for action to our community, and the response was overwhelming. So we have had 14 sponsors or partners that have stepped up to help with these monthly distributions. That's a lot of food. And with each organization or business that has stepped up to be our partner, they will be at these distributions helping us, handing out food, talking with our guests, and being a friendly smile there.
Awesome. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And coming back on Insights, we'll continue the discussion of food hunger and insecurities. Welcome back to this week's Insights. I'm Stephanie Douglas, and we are still talking about the topic of food hunger and insecurities in Alpena. Right now, I have joining with me is Pastor Orth from Grace Lutheran Church. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having us today.
Oh, not a problem. So we want to talk about the food insecurities that's happening in Alpena. Tell us a little bit about how your church is helping with that issue.
Well, we have what's called the Little Food Pantry. It's a box outside of our church that has food in it that people can come anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and pick up food as they need it.
When did this start?
It's coming up on a year old now. It's an idea that we found from another Lutheran church at the south end of Hubbard Lake, New Life Lutheran Church, but it's also something that's being done around the country. It's housed in something maybe people are familiar with, the little free libraries that are around town. Well, it's a box about like that. It's just outside the doors of the church.
So tell me a little bit about this pantry. Is it something that the church supports, or is it the community?
Well, we do have church members bringing in food, but we've been also generously supported by members of the community too, who will bring things to the pantry and drop it off. And that can be done anytime. They can just come by and put the items in the pantry, or the church is open 8 to noon, Monday through Friday, and they could drop it off there in the church so that we can distribute it in a mix of things in the pantry at one time.
So this pantry lies solely on the community. Tell us a little bit about some items that the community can bring to help out this pantry.
Well, some of the things that have been really popular are like tuna that's in the foil packets, or the Dinty Moore microwavable meals. One of our members found at Dollar Tree that you can buy this milk in a package that doesn't need to be refrigerated. So we can put that in the pantry, but that has been popular too. And then other things like vegetables, particularly green beans, and the mixed vegetables have been popular, so canned things are great. Jars of peanut butter, snack bars are things that have been popular and have been used quite a bit out of the pantry.
So is it just food that you guys are looking for in this pantry, or is it other items as well?
Thank you very much for mentioning that, because it can also be personal hygiene items of everything like toothpaste and toothbrushes to deodorant to paper towels to napkins to feminine hygiene products, anything like that that people need. We're really there to fill a need of a very short-term immediate need. There's not enough food in the pantry to feed a bunch of families for a weekend or something like that, but if you have a need for a few meals, this will help get through. And particularly the unique thing that the pantry does is it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so when the other agencies aren't open, or the other churches and the food pantries aren't open, it's still available. So if something happens after hours, something happens on the weekends, then people have this resource.
So have you ever heard stories of people coming up to the pantry or even sending letters to the church thanking you guys?
Occasionally I will run into people there, and one time the story was, I'm between jobs right now. My job starts next week, and I just need a little bit of food to help the family get through. It was really great. In the last month, we received a little note in the pantry that simply just said, thank you for doing this, because it really helped out the family. And so that was neat.
Yeah, that is really awesome. So can you tell us how people can find this location if they ever wanted to come to this pantry, donate to this pantry, or just inquire about it?
Well, Grace Lutheran Church is located on Dunbar Street. It's between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, so we're just a little ways off of downtown. It's For the people who have been around here a while, it's where the old high school, we're a block away from where the old high school used to be, and it was downtown.
Okay. So is there anything extra that you can add to let the people know why you guys started this and why it means so much to the community?
We did it because we wanted to make a difference. Our church statement is to make a Christ-like difference in the community, in the world. And so we were able to help out. And we've discovered that really there was that niche that needed to be filled of things that are after hours and beyond the times that the agencies operate. And so that is a way that we can fill in. And I will say, we were on this panel the other night about the food insecurity in the area, and we heard about the Friendship Room, we heard about Sunday Supper, we heard about Salvation Army, we heard about other churches and organizations like St. Vincent de Paul that have food boxes. And it was amazing to me the amount of resources that were out there, but it also told me how much the need is, which is really, it's disappointing. But this community is a very caring community, and it has stepped up and provided a variety of organizations that will help out with this project. So we need to realize that there are people in this community, in our area, that are food insecure, and that we can help out. And it can be for the short term like we do, or it can be for longer term like some of the other agencies do.
So tell us a little bit about this panel. What did the church have to do with this panel? Can you explain?
The panel was done by the People for Social Justice. It's a nonpartisan group in the community that talks about issues in the world. And it brought together, there must have been 8 or 10 of us that sat down and talked about what the resources are that can help deal with the issue of food insecurity. And so, as I said, there was Friendship Room there, which is 5 or 6 nights a week supper, Sunday supper at Trinity Episcopal, which does the 7th night, and Trinity Episcopal also has a food pantry. Salvation Army was there, which has a food pantry as well as some feeding programs. St. Vincent de Paul was there, which has some resources available. The Feeding Kids Ministry was there, which helps out kids through the school system and a summer feeding program. And there were several agencies in the community also that supported. The Senior Center was there because they have resources too. I haven't named all of them because I'm not remembering them right now, but we got together just to explain to the community what's addressing the issue. And we had a good turnout. We must have had about 80 people there from the community that learned about what's going on and how they can participate and help in various ways too.
Speaking about participating and helping out, I know that you mentioned that the limited pantry is a 24-hour access.
Yes.
That means people can come, go, donate, or pick up. Are there any strings attached by donating or picking up the food?
No, I mean, since it's a box outside the church, we have no requirements. Just come and take it. And there are no requirements to give either. Anybody can make a contribution, and that's great. And that's one of the things that is really helpful, because at times people are embarrassed to say that I need a little bit of help. And so in this case, most of the time you'll never be noticed that you were there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Pastor, for coming on to this week's Insights. I really appreciate it. Can you let people know if they need to get more information, what number or who they can reach out to about this pantry?
Sure. Grace Lutheran Church is on Dunbar Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, and our phone number is 354-2640.
Awesome. Thank you, Pastor. And that wraps up this week's Insights. I'm Stephanie Douglas for WBKB News.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.